Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How is everyone doing? I am doing actually fine. This is self-isolation days and I've actually had so much time to concentrate on my art, and I thought it'd be really cool to make a video for you guys to also do some artwork of your own and make a nice piece for your home. So I'm an abstract artist. I guess I know a lot of people don't understand abstract art or appreciate it, but it's art that expresses your soul, and that's what I like to define it as. I'm not a realist artist, and as you guys, many of you guys probably say, I don't know how to draw because you base it on realism, but you are also an abstract artist and you can take your inner abstract artist out with me. So I've made this video and done this demo for you to show you how I do my abstract art. It's pretty easy, it's pretty flowy, it's whatever you want it to be. I'm going to be showing you an easy technique to use some paintbrushes, some spatulas. You can even use cardboard in your house. It's really easy to do. I hope you also join along. I'll be showing you how my abstract painting looks in my house, framed up. So yeah, if you're bored, if you need some art therapy at this time at home, please follow. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It will mean the world to me. I'm trying to grow my channel and I guess this is the perfect time to do it. So if you found this video interesting, please also share it with your loved ones. So without further ado, let's get started. Right guys, let's get into the painting. So I am actually painting on acrylic canvas paper. It's kind of a thick card, so if you have some card at home, use that. Don't use paper, because if you use any water or watered down paints, your paper is just going to crinkle up. So here I'm just using gesso, which is a primer. If you don't have that at home, just use some white paint. It just adds a nice prime on to your canvas first. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding a bit of tones to the background. So I've added a light sort of peachy nude tone and also a grey, and I'm using this like DIY large brush just to blend it all out. So you need to think about your palette first. So my palettes are going to have greys, deep blues, red, coral and some nude colour. So it's probably good to look at where you want to place your painting first and then figure out what will look nice in the room. It's always nice to have like darker tones, so like dark blues, greens or even deep reds, and then choose lighter colours as well, greys, like pinks, like purples, just so it adds some dimension in your paintings. But that's all about shading and we'll come on to that. So here I'm just evening all the tones out, and I've got a nice little layer, background layer for my painting. So here I'm starting to form the composition of my painting. So what you want to do is you want to see, how do you want your painting to flow? What do you want it to look like? So this is a landscape painting. I'm starting from the top left hand corner. Sorry, I'm really bad with my left and right, so if I get that wrong, I'm really sorry. So what I'm doing here is I'm stippling with a sort of neutral tone. So if you're using pinks, purples, blues, just use a lighter tone. So I'm adding movement into the painting first, and what I'm using is like a really crappy brush. I think crappy brushes are the best because the brush fibers are usually not very like silky or nice, and that adds a lot of texture into the painting. So I'm just basically stippling it all on. So I'm using the neck sort of shade up, a bit of a darker pink, and I'm adding a little bit of shadows to what I've already put on the page. So now I've gone on for like a darker coral. I'm not using too much of this, but I'm just adding a little bit more definition to the places that I've already had that darker pink. And this is just going to add a bit more depth into the painting. You can tell that I'm really loosely putting it on. I'm holding my paintbrush to the top as well and quite loose, and this just adds a bit of like flowy definition to your painting and make sure that like your brush stripples aren't really hard on the page. They need to be nice and soft. So here I'm going in with a coral. I'm just adding in a little bit more definition, and I'm trying to basically beef out what I've already put onto the page. So this looks like all too neat and nice for me, like I don't like that look. So we're adding a lot more dynamic definition now. So I'm just taking a brush, no water on it, nothing like that, and I'm basically fanning out the wet paint. And as you can see, it's adding a really nice dimension into the painting. So I'm doing it in different directions, just adds a bit more dynamic feel to the painting, and obviously a little bit more abstract. Okay, so everything looks a bit dull for me, and you know, I'm a bit bold and dramatic, so I'm going in with like my brightest shade. So whatever that is in your palette, it might be like a bright orange, bright blue, go in with that colour and just add it into the places where you want your eye to be drawn. So I've just focused on a few at the top left hand side of my painting and the bottom right, because I want like the eye to flow down. And then I'm just blending that out as I go a bit more in the middle of the painting. Right, so to add a bit more sort of interest to the painting, what I'm doing is I'm using like a flat brush. This could be anything, you can even do this with your fingers, and I'm just putting like sections of these dabs in areas where I want a bit more interest and it looks a bit flat. So I'm just doing that with a coral paint, so it could be like your base paint or anything. I think it got mixed with white paint there, but that looks quite cool. So next I'm switching it up. I'm introducing this grey colour and I'm doing it really loosely with my paintbrush. I don't hold my paintbrush properly. I kind of hold it like, you know, when you're drunk and you're not holding like your glass properly anymore. This is what I'm doing. I'm dragging the paintbrush across the page and I'm taking the paint with it, and it adds so much movement and interest. It's really cool what you can end up with. So yeah, as you can see, I'm adding those little loops, I'm adding a little bit of drama into the painting. So here I take my next colour and it's a blue. I've started off with a lighter blue and I'm doing the same thing. In the middle of the painting it was a bit boring, so I've added like a darker section of blue there. The rest of the painting I just want hints of blue to come out now. So I'm just sort of whacking around my paintbrush. Next I'm using water. Water is an amazing thing. So if you have, you know, these empty like spray bottles, I don't know, where you put bleach in, you can even use that. And I'm just spraying it, and then I've basically lifted the page up, and now I'm just dabbing off the excess water. And what this adds is like a nice drip effect, a really light one, but it adds shadow into the painting. So I'm taking my darker colour. I'm bored, I want a bit more drama. This is how my paintings go. Like I mute them out and then I make them more dramatic, and then I mute them out and then I make them more dramatic. So now I'm just using like a spatula. This is a plastic spatula. I think it's like 99p from Amazon, but you can use anything. You can even use like the garden spatulas. or like those cake spatulas. I've even actually used a cardboard spatula before, so it's just a piece of cardboard that I've just cut in half, and it's just to spread paint across. So yeah, I'm just making that darker blue sort of bit more like swishy over the page because I want the eye to focus on it. And then I'm just using paintbrush to darken some of the areas. So I didn't like how harsh the red and the blue was, so I'm just like softening that up with little paintbrushes, strokes, and yeah, it's just softening all the painting up. And because I've like dragged the paintbrush through a multiple number of colors now, when I do my paint strokes, it's got a lot more interest. It's got like blues, it's got a hint of red, and that's really cool. So yeah, I'm just using that effect again where I'm dragging the paint across. Anywhere where I think like it's too harsh and I want a bit more softness, I want the colours to drag out, I want like that effect to be seen, that there's like corals, blues, reds, yeah, so I've done that across the painting. So I feel like because I've done all that with the blue, I've kind of like neglected the red now, so I'm going back in. I'm using a bubble wrap. You can use plastic, anything. You can even use paper towel, but they're a bit like they're a bit like gold right now, paper towels. So yeah, you can use anything, but I'm just dabbing in a bit more red. And how cool is this? Yes, I have paint splattered. I love this part. I get really excited because you don't know where the colour's going to go, right? I wanted it to go sort of in the middle, but also near the blue in the top left, because I wanted like the white to cut the deepness of the blue and the red. So yeah, I think that's been achieved. I didn't like go overboard, I hope. So yeah, I'm just adding a bit more red. I think I'm going to go in with the spatula again. Yeah, so I want a bit more drama. The bottom left hand side of the painting looked a bit boring, a bit white and a bit plain, and yeah, as you can see, that's had so much more movement into the painting. I'm finishing off with a bit of coral because I've realised that the coral wasn't coming out, so I'm just adding these nice brush strokes with a thick brush into the painting and just focusing on where I want the eye to really travel. So after like the red swoosh, I wanted the eye to capture the coral colour. So that's basically my thinking behind the composition. And yeah, that's how I think as and when I go. So I've just put some liquidizer. You can use water if you wanted to, just to liquidize this paint a bit. I'm just like putting it onto the coral, lifting it up for like a drippy effect. And I think it just looks cool. So yeah, that's like my signature thing. So I'm just doing the same thing with the bottom stroke here, but I'm kind of annoyed that I messed up that like brush stroke. The brush stroke in real life looked really cool, and by doing the dripping I like took that away. So yeah, I've gone back in and sorted that out. So I've added the darker blue again in the bottom right hand side because I just felt like it was missing. So it's all about sort of analysing where you are and if there needs to be more of a focus on certain part of the painting, and then going back in. Usually I start with like muted colours and then I build up with more dramatic colours, and then I add in the highlights with like white, and then I add the details in as I'm doing now. So I'm just like stepping back from the painting, seeing where, you know, I could add a bit more interest in. So I'm just doing these little dabs just to like clear up any bits of the painting that I think are a bit, you know, a bit weird. And just making sure that they're a bit seamless. I feel like that looks cool, that brush stroke, yeah. That works for me. So yeah, that's the end of the painting, and this is what it turned out to look like. Hey guys, so I've just framed the artwork we've just completed and it looks so cool. I can't wait to show you. I'm just going to flip the camera over. So once you guys are done, you can also frame your artwork like this. The frame is from Wilkinson here in the UK. I think it was like £10. It's an A3 size frame, so for A3 photo or painting. And yeah, it's quite a large sort of mount, so quite a large width, and that's what makes it really cool and effective, I think. So yeah, so you can pick one of those up if you want to do it for yourself. But yeah, this is the final product.